Énouement. You're lying awake long after everyone else has fallen asleep, scrolling through old photos you haven't looked at in years. There are faces you don't talk to anymore, places you barely remember, and a version of yourself who believed life would turn out very differently. For a moment, it all starts making sense. Why that friendship slowly disappeared. Why that relationship had to end. Why the opportunity you spent years regretting was never really meant for you. You finally understand the story. But there's one thing you can never do. You can't go back and whisper those answers to the person who spent so many nights wondering if everything was falling apart. That feeling is called énouement. It's the bittersweet realization that you've finally reached the future, where all the confusing chapters make sense, but the one person who needed those answers the most, your younger self, can never hear them. Maybe that's what growing up really is. Not finding a perfect life, but finally understanding the imperfect one you already lived. Adrenitis. You meet someone, and within a single conversation, you know you want to understand them. Not just their favorite movie or where they grew up. You want to know what keeps them awake at night. What made them the person sitting in front of you. What they're too afraid to tell anyone. But people don't reveal themselves all at once. They appear slowly, one story. One memory. One ordinary conversation at a time. Weeks become months. Months become years. And only then do you realize you're still discovering parts of them you never knew existed. That feeling is called adrenitis. The frustration that no matter how deeply someone fascinates you, there's no shortcut to truly knowing them. Because the most important parts of a person aren't hidden. They're simply waiting for time. Opia. You're talking to someone, and without thinking, your eyes meet. For a second, neither of you looks away. It's strange. You suddenly become aware of your own face, your own breathing, the silence between every word. You start wondering what they see when they look at you. Do they see confidence, or nervousness? Curiosity, or fear? You can't tell what they're thinking. And somehow, that's exactly what makes the moment feel so intense. That feeling is called opia. The peculiar vulnerability of looking directly into another person's eyes, where even a few seconds can feel surprisingly intimate. Because eye contact isn't just seeing someone else. It's realizing, they're seeing you too. Queerness. Maybe you've imagined it before. Growing old with someone. A small house. Familiar routines. Inside jokes nobody else understands. It feels so real, until one thought quietly appears. What if this isn't the person I end up with? What if one day, they become another memory? No matter how much you love someone, the future refuses to give you certainty. And that's the hardest part. Love can promise effort. Love can promise honesty. But it can never promise forever. That feeling is called queerness. The quiet longing to know whether the person beside you today, will still be beside you years from now. Maybe uncertainty isn't the enemy of love. Maybe it's the price we pay for something that can never be guaranteed. Ellipsism. Have you ever thought about how much of you exists only inside your own mind? Not the things you've said, the things you never did, the memories nobody else remembers. The conversations you had with yourself. The apologies you rehearsed but never gave. The dreams you quietly gave up on without telling anyone. One day, every one of those thoughts will disappear. Not because they weren't important, but because only you ever knew they existed. That feeling is called ellipsism. The quiet sadness of realizing that no matter how close people are to you, they'll never know the complete story of who you are. Maybe every person leaves this world carrying an entire library, that no one else ever gets to read. Anesthesia. Sometimes someone asks you a simple question. How do you really feel? And you freeze. Not because you're hiding the truth. Because you genuinely don't know what the truth is. Your mind says you're over it. Your actions say you're not. You tell yourself you've moved on, yet certain songs still make your chest feel heavy. You keep searching for an answer inside yourself, like you're trying to understand a stranger. That feeling is called anesthesia. The strange experience of not fully understanding your own emotions. Sometimes the hardest person to figure out, is yourself. Adultworth. When you were younger, success seemed simple. Get good grades. Find a good job. Make enough money. Be happy. But somewhere along the way, the finish line disappeared. Some days success feels like freedom. Other days it feels like peace. Then it becomes love. Or health. Or simply having enough time to breathe. The more you grow, the more the definition keeps changing. That feeling is called Addleworth. The frustration of never quite knowing whether you're doing well, because the way you measure your life never stays the same. Maybe that's why so many people feel lost. Not because they're walking in the wrong direction, but because nobody agrees on where the destination is. Vemodalen. You're standing in front of a breathtaking view. The kind of place people dream about visiting. You reach for your phone, then hesitate. How many people have stood exactly where you're standing now? How many have taken the same photo, felt the same wonder, and whispered the same words? For a moment, the experience feels strangely less unique. That feeling is called Vemodalen. The unsettling realization that even your most beautiful moments have been lived by countless people before you. But maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. The sunset isn't special because you're the first person to see it. It's special, because out of billions of people, you're the one seeing it right now. Lachesism. Have you ever noticed how sometimes life becomes so predictable that part of you almost wishes something would happen? Not because you want anyone to get hurt. Not because you enjoy chaos. But because you're desperate to feel awake again. To feel like something matters. Like your heart has a reason to beat faster than your daily routine. That feeling is called Lachesism. The strange desire for a life-changing event to break the endless rhythm of ordinary days. Maybe what you're really craving isn't disaster. Maybe you're just craving a reason to feel alive again. Rückkehrunruhe. You come home after a trip that changed you. Or maybe after a conversation, a book, or a single moment that made you see the world differently. For a few days, everything feels lighter. You promise yourself you'll live differently now. You'll worry less. Appreciate more. Slow down. And then, life quietly returns. The emails. The responsibilities. The routine. Without even noticing, the person you became during that experience slowly begins to disappear. That feeling is called Rückkehrunruhe. The unsettling sadness of returning to ordinary life, and watching a transformed version of yourself slowly fade away. Maybe that's why we keep searching for moments that change us. Not because they last forever. But because even if they only stay for a little while, they remind us that we're still capable of becoming someone new. Maybe the strangest thing about being human is that we've all felt these emotions, long before we ever had words for them. And maybe that's why learning their names feels so comforting. Not because a name solves the feeling, but because it reminds us that somewhere, at some point, someone else felt it too. And for a moment, that makes the world feel a little less lonely.